which... Zack Snyder? Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Roundup. Today we have got multiple wins and multiple losses, a host of pretty damn interesting stories in the gaming industry. So, Halo. You know I love it, and that means, I'll probably be sad about what I've got to say next in today's video. We've also got the developers of Ark actually walking back from their pretty damn controversial plan. The very unfortunate 30 FPS problem that I think really is taking a lot of the luster away from some of those consoles, especially when you track that forward in time. We've got De Novo going away and some Cyberpunk delivery and promises, which is always pretty damn nice to hear. Of course, if you want to support what we're doing, then check out today's sponsor. Brilliant. They're the best way to improve your prospects and develop yourself, especially in those lucrative STEM fields. And it's all via their fantastic site and app. And to try everything that Brilliant has got to offer for free for 30 days, visit brilliant.org/Bellular News or click that link down below. Also, the first 200 to click get 20% off an annual plan, which you'll totally want. Now, compared to how I learned computer science in university, their approach is just... well, it's more approachable, it's fun, it's interactive. I mean, as an example, I didn't learn Python in uni. I was all like Java, C#, C, C++. So in my spare time, I was just going through their Java course, and it was really neat to see how they teach things that in many ways I'm already familiar with, but teach them so much better compared to how I was taught. It's actually intuitive, it's fun, and by having the code like all running in browser, they're ensuring that no setup related stuff is actually just getting in the way of you sitting down and using your valuable time to learn. It's such a refreshing approach. I mean, right now, what I want to do is use just some ChatGPT to co-pilot me in writing some internal tools just for the team and everything using Python. So Brilliant's ensuring that I actually understand everything going on there. And I don't know about you, but like, I've got so many gaps in my knowledge. I feel like I've fallen off the wagon because, hey, we all just get busy with things, busy with work, stuff like that. Too busy to develop yourself. Brilliant solves that. It's got me learning again. I'm feeling sharp. And with their approach, you're not sponging stuff in. You're actually having topics click because you're learning properly. And if you're thinking about your career, well, it's all high-paying fields, let's be real, like AI and computer science. So rather than a boring textbook, learn by doing with Brilliant. I love what Brilliant do. And whether you want to learn for yourself or maybe spark a younger mind's journey, visit brilliant.org/Bellular News today for a 30-day free trial of all they've got to offer, and then the first 200 to click get 20% off their annual premium subscription. Okay, let's jump into our first story, which is Joseph Staten leaving Xbox. And that's a little bit sad. So a few months ago, after restructuring and massive layoffs within 343 Industries, who are the people who lead the Halo franchise, we found out that the head creative of Halo Infinite and a very long time staffer on Halo was basically moving to Xbox Publishing, and now we found out that he is moving out of Xbox Publishing and is leaving the company entirely. Of course, on the internet, you will see many people saying things to the tune of, the rats are fleeing the sinking ship, it's all going down. So this was broken by IGN. Staten has himself confirmed this departure, saying he's going to have more info to share soon, but he would like to, thank all of his colleagues, etc., as he embarks on his new venture. Now, the thing is, as of recent, he has already been departed from Halo Infinite, right? Now, at the time... I don't know if this was a foolish thing, maybe it was just us being optimists, but we thought, okay, well, he's out of 343, but he is in Xbox Publishing. Now, we also knew that multiple other, studios were being involved in Halo, and we also knew that 343 was... in some ways getting a bit cut down with those layoffs, so we thought maybe this is him moving to a new role that will still involve the Halo franchise. But no! That's wrong. That's not happening at all. He is gone, which is kind of sad. And it actually turns out he's gone to Netflix. Yes, Netflix. They've just ended their DVD delivery service, and they've also just brought in Joseph Staten as creative director on an unrevealed AAA multi-platform original IP, which is pretty interesting. Of which... Zack Snyder? And what's actually funny is, We maybe have a hint of this. So Zack Snyder has an upcoming movie, I suppose, franchise called Rebel Moon, and we know that they want to do some game-related thing in that universe. So who knows? Maybe he's doing that. I mean, Rebel Moon, science fiction, Joseph Staten, Halo. You can see all these things coming together. So pretty interesting, but he may not be the only person who is moving on to new pastures, because Halo franchise director Frank O'Connor's tenure at Microsoft has also ended this month after he joined the Halo franchise in 2004. There's Stephen Totilo reporting on it. He confirmed he works with Axios. So yeah, there's multiple senior leaders going away from 343. Ultimately, here's my view on Halo right now. It's tremendously disappointing. It is an absolute black mark on how Microsoft have been able to really shepherd this franchise. Microsoft will have known that this is their big system seller, so for them to be able to fuck it up this badly is obviously terrible, and it's a big black mark on the management responsible for that, for all of this. Ultimately, we've already went into leaks, leaks, and I think some things countering those leaks about the issues at 343. Ultimately, though, it is pretty sad. That being said, as a very casual person who maybe will hop into Halo twice a week, I can still hop onto that game on the Xbox Series X after work. I can play that game and have a lot of fun in it. Not entirely dissimilar to how I used to play that game in the past, though undoubtedly in a world where it is all about monolithic live services that need a absolutely insane content cadence. Yeah, it's fair to say that they're not really going to be able to... They're just not going to be able to hold it up. I guess what's tricky there is, in a world you could, or in a way you could talk about user-generated content with the likes of Halo Forge, which itself is super, super awesome. But again, what happens when you're in this entire Battle Pass-dictated world of extrinsic rewards? How do you marry user-generated content in with that? Is it in fact the case that having all of the battle passes and that sort of thing hyperfixates your players onto what will actually progress that battle pass, leading to a situation where ultimately you have a very narrow path to success? Okay, our next story then, Ark. So you will have heard me talk about a week ago about the pretty insane situation that was going on with Ark, and after a lot of people joining the chorus of critique, we have a new plan. Let's talk about the new plan. There is going to be no bundle. You'll just be able to buy Ark Survival Ascended, and you will not be required to buy Ark 2 because it is, Ark Survival Ascended is just a standalone platform. It's going to cost a flat $60 on all platforms, not $50/$40 plus DLC costs. It will feature all DLC from the original game, plus community maps that are planned for porting, and those will be added as they're completed by the team with no additional costs. So previously, right, the way that it used to be was, I think on some platforms it was $50, on PSN it was $40, but then you'd have to buy all the DLC. But it also came with Ark 2. Now there's no Ark 2, but it's bundled with all the DLC. All right, so that's the situation that's went on. Now, is there still some bad optics here? Because ultimately, the optics that were bad were a studio executive promising a free update to Unreal Engine 5, and then a few months later, the company asking for $60 for that, right? Does it meet that problem? No. But they have explained why that comment was made at the time. In the first instance, they had planned to port the updated Switch version of Ark Survival Evolved to remove the system-level graphical limitations and just call it a day. Basically, the Switch port of Ark was more architecturally up-to-date. So they just planned to, hit the graphics good button, take the limiter off, and plonk it over. Whereas now, this is a more, you could say, full development process, meaning that it's going to cost more money. Also, the closure of official servers, they say, affects the minority of players on Ark, but the cost of maintaining those servers and ensuring security in the old technological base is an additional cost to the dev, and they understand that people aren't going to believe them about their new updates and features yet. So there you go. That's the situation. Ultimately, this Ark Survival Ascended package will have to make real sense to people whenever they unveil it, whenever, or, more fully, whenever people actually see those benefits. And as for Arc 2, it's going to have to do the same. This is absolutely going to be a pretty uphill battle for them. Next, then, we've got the very unfortunate situation with Redfall. For me, double unfortunate, because I really like Arcane. I mean, Dishonored was a massive game for me, back in the day. And we've basically found out, this was a single tweet from the brand account that has basically set the whole internet upon the game, because on the Xbox Series X, it's going to be 4K 30, and on the Series S, it will be 1440p 30, with 60 FPS performance mode being added to the game via future update. Now, what does that mean? Well, I can say my gut reaction as a consumer. Number one, it is, oh dear, you're probably going to need a chunker of a PC to run this decently if the Series X, which, yeah, I know the Series X isn't at 490, but it's pretty fucking good, right? Like, look how many games it plays at incredible quality with a solid 60, even taking some games up to 120. It is some good damn hardware. So, for a lot of people for whom a Series X may be similar to their PC, they're going to see this and think, oh my god, this is going to be yet another PC port that is not up to snuff. That's something that has happened with Arcane games before, so that was quite sad to see. The other thing is just, what does this mean for the future of Xbox? At the end of the day, I thought that 30 FPS was an opt-in. Because the basics have been quality 30, performance 60. It's been like that for just about every game. That's what, in a way, you could see as that fucking sacred covenant has been broken with us is really bad. And for me, it's bad because this is a first-party game. And the idea of Microsoft slipping on those performance standards for a first-party game, to me, is actually kind of unnerving. I do not like that. Imagine if the new Fable game came out, and, I mean, it wouldn't be an issue because I'll play it on PC. I'll probably be able to get above 30. But for a lot of people, the idea that, say, what if the new Fable comes out and it's a few years down the line, graphical standards have went up, and they don't put a performance mode in? Now, I know that that is a worst-case scenario, but ultimately it seems like what we're getting here is, look, it's like that classic thing. I know MKBHD, Marquez always talks about it, the triangle of, the price, the quality, the performance, all of that stuff. So, what do we want? We want a game to not be delayed. I suppose this is a bit different. We want the game to not be delayed. We want very sexy graphics to show off in our screenshots for our powerful technology. And we want co-op. All of these things equal no 60 FPS. Xbox chose to only meet 2 of those things when they could have probably met 3, because let's be real, if this is being added in a future update, why is it not there at launch? Not good. Microsoft, here's the deal. You guys can't ship stuff not good. You shipped Halo Infinite too early, look what happened. Don't ship Redfall too early. Come on. You know what has and hasn't worked in the past. I don't know. I'm sure that whenever they look at their own performance targets, their own numbers, this decision-making makes sense. But ultimately, I can say that as an end user who uses an Xbox Series X plenty because it's a very convenient, good quality device, this is not particularly, this doesn't feel good. But maybe Microsoft are also thinking, screw it. It's in Game Pass. It's not like they're paying for it with real money anyway. They're not going to pay $60 or $70 and suddenly not have their, their frame rate. I don't know. Okay, tell me what you think about that one. Next, we've got Sony being petulant and published patents. Yes. Sony, they're they've had interesting times. They've said a lot of things recently, of course, that big old spat with Microsoft over Call of Duty. But last week, a patent for a universal remote control from Sony was published. Now, this was filed in June 2022, and it's designed to allow only one remote to control many consoles, with the examples given including various PlayStation consoles, PCs, or home entertainment system of a, albeit inferior manufacturer. Yeah. Inferior. Which is just funny. Basically, the patent comes across as really snarky. Yeah, Game Rant read the patent closely and found that. Props to them. The exciting incident here is people just realizing that Sony's snark and willingness to be insulting is something that did not start with the claims they made to the UK CMA in regards to the whole Microsoft thing, where, you know, they were being pretty spicy. Right, Jim Ryan's crew, spicy bunch of people. But here they are. Yes, they are indeed being spicy, even in their patent filings. Now, seemingly, though, to throw a little bit of water on it to make it reasonable, this is a common phrase in their cross-platform technology publicly available patents, with a patents analyst called Florian Mueller pointing out that they've been doing this for over a decade, all the way back to 2011, which means that the first instance of where the inferior comment would have been is in the PS3 and PSP era. You gotta wonder if it's an inside joke, and I suppose if you are a seething technologist who just loves how good the PS3 cell architecture is, but also is very angry the developers aren't able to make good use of it, maybe you will just call the Xbox 360 inferior and not be particularly pleased. Next then. I don't know if you've been boycotting Resident Evil Village for like the last year or something, but Capcom have removed Denuvo from it. Yes, get your party poppers out, aren't we all thrilled? Yeah, Denuvo, I think it stayed for about 2 years for this one. This is overall good for the people who just boycott Denuvo. Here's the deal with Denuvo, right? What does Denuvo do? It basically means that it'll take maybe 2 to 4 weeks. I mean, I'm sure sometimes it stays, but they will delay the point at which cracked versions of a game appear online, and that basically just means you can Denuvo the shit out of your game for a year, and who gives a shit after that? Basically, that's the situation. Now, per reports that we know, basically, that there are positive financial returns for doing this. Look, when Denuvo send over a deck to somebody, they're going to want to have numbers that convince them to put Denuvo on their game. So it was leaked that Crytek paid €120,000 for 6 months of Denuvo for Crysis Remastered, and Denuvo increased that price based on the scale of activations after launch, and when the next thing comes along, they usually drop Denuvo. Now, the thing is, Denuvo, in some cases, has flown under the radar. In other cases, Denuvo has caused performance issues. I mean, as an example, Village, there was some stuttering. I believe Devil May Cry 5 had superior performance in the cracked version. So you actually had some people purchasing the game on Steam and then downloading the cracked version from whatever, torrent site they like, and just playing the superior version. And I suppose they got to feel morally okay because they purchased it. Interesting. Next then, we've got, and finally today, Cyberpunk delivering on a bit of a promise where some visuals. Okay, this is being billed as a technology preview, and they've added full path traced rendering to Cyberpunk 2077, meaning that basically it's realistically lit in real time. It's not having to rely on the usual sort of tricks that game developers come up with to fool our eyes into believing that the game is more than it actually is. And I think for the easiest way is just to look at what Carmack did with, I think, was it Doom 3 and the bump mapping that was done on the walls. It was like one of the, it's like one of the, welcome, it's month 1 of learning game development. Here's a cool anecdote about the past, right? So, when you're basically simulating light bouncing around the place, you don't have to fake it. However, good luck running this. Okay? The technology preview of Ray Tracing Overdrive mode is currently recommended on RTX 40 series cards, which means a 4070 Ti and up, and a 3090 will get you 1080p 30 FPS. So you can kind of play it. Now, what is more useful here is if your GPU has got 8 gigs of VRAM, you can just use this for your screenshots. Now that I actually think is really cool. And really something that a lot of developers could think about, because often you have these situations where what you can pull off an engine is vastly beyond what you can actually ship to customers. But if you could flick a bunch of those things on for the photo mode, then, I mean, that would be pretty cool. I mean, look at all the people who, with Final Fantasy XIV, get to use Reshade. I would say G-Shade, but we all know how that went down. But they get to use Reshade, have beautiful presets, add in their depth of field, crank it up to 8K, some complete madness, and create these absolutely stunning screenshots. I mean, it's a brilliant way to market your game. And I think this is also just NVIDIA consistently trying to edge us all on to buying more, getting more and more RTX ops. As they used to, I don't know if they still pitch it as RTX ops. That's certainly what they did when they launched the RTX cards with the 2000 series. Ultimately, this is just the thing where NVIDIA see themselves as like a market leader in this space. So the more that they can help game developers put in this undeniably beautiful technology into their games, then the more NVIDIA basically builds a moat around their market share. But in this case, it's only going to be for the top of the top of the top, right? The people who are just buying 4090s. And hey, if that's you, then you do you. But ultimately, that's not most customers. Now, that being said, the more that they can get people convinced to turn on DLSS 3 and more ray tracing, then that is a moated customer, because they likely won't be able to get as good final performance at the same price point with AMD. Or at the very least, I think that is NVIDIA's market strategy. And with that said, that is indeed it for today's episode of The Roundup. Of course, you can check out this video next. Check out today's sponsor to support them. They support us. It's all in all pretty damn good, and I think they're great. So that's it from me. Have a brilliant day, and I'll see you next time.